I am thrilled to welcome you to our inaugural event of our new series, The Passionate Collector. This is also the first Western Art Council event at the beautiful Galen Museum in Palm Desert. Thank you for having us here. And we're sold out tonight, I'm happy to say. So I want to thank all of you for your great response to this event. It gives us some ideas about expanding it, and your response has encouraged us to make it even bigger next time. All of us here tonight love museums, and we love art. We love to look at it, we love to talk about it, we love to argue about it, discuss it, think about it, ponder it. But tonight we're going to look at art with a little bit different perspective. The art of collecting art. Why we do it, how we do it, and what are some of the ways that we can do it well. Our guests of honor tonight are two of the museum's major donors, the wonderful Donna MacMillan, right up there on the screen, who's a board trustee, and Dr. Loren Lipson, who's also wonderful, who, among other things, is a member of the Western Art Council Board of Directors. And I'd like to say their donations of their time and their talent, their resources, and their art have really changed the scope of our museum from this to this. We are indebted to you. As a longtime docent, and I've given hundreds of tours at the museum, I can tell you that when we received the MacMillan collection a few years ago, it really changed everything. I told Donna that it changed my life because never before had I and many other of my colleagues been so up close and personal with this innovative, exciting contemporary art. Then I got to learn from Donna and tour with her a few times to learn about how she got it and why she got it. Then I got to study on my own, and then I got to share it with the touring public. And I have to say the response has always been overwhelmingly positive. It is truly a gift that keeps on giving, so thank you. Loren Lipson is a friend of mine, and he has almost single-handedly changed the profile of our Native American art collection. He's made the name Naminga a household word for many of us, and he sponsors Native American artists for all the right reasons. He loves the art and loves the beauty, but he also wants to support these struggling artists and their families. He not only supports the Namingas, but he also, today I was with him when he delivered his latest donation of a beautiful Allen Hauser sculpture for the Palm Springs Museum.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I recently spent a week with him in Santa Fe where we looked at hundreds, if maybe not 1,000, Native American pots. And he would be going through and editing and choosing and selecting and coming up with the best ones each time. He tells me that any of us can learn this. And I learned more from him than I had ever before about Native American pottery. But I suspect he was born with a discerning eye for beauty and quality. So thank you, Loren. I have a few people that we'd like to give a special recognition to tonight. We're happy to have board trustees Helene Galen and Faye Sarkowski with us tonight, as long as Jamie Gabler and Herman Sarkowski. Thank you for being here. And we're also always thrilled when Dr. Stephen Nash, Executive Director, is at our Western Art Council Museums. So welcome to you and to Carol. Where's Carol? Hi. And I don't know that I've ever been able to say this in the past, but we have the entire curatorial staff with us tonight, I believe, at a Western Art Council event. We have Dr. Danielle Cornell. Did I misspeak? He's on his way. Catherine Huff, Sydney Williams, and WAC's very own Christine Giles. And we want to give a special thank you to Mara Gladstone, the curator of Make It Work right here in the beautiful Palm Desert Museum. I also want to give a thanks to Arlene Amick, for the general manager of this beautiful facility, and thank you for welcoming us so gracious and generous. We want to give a special Western Art Council howdy to Greg Polzine, our Director of Development, who does so much for us.
Go, Greg.
That was unnecessary. And a big thank you to our Western Art Council coordinator, Alicia Gregory, who makes all of our events possible. And someone I just met tonight, Michael Hinkle from the Photography Council and the Marketing Department. Welcome to you, too. We also want to welcome Barbara Berlanti, and as well as Michael Blumenfield, who, along with his wife, Rena, all of them have their names graced galleries here at this museum in recognition of your generosity. So thank you. And Kimberly Swanson, her award-winning dress designs are here tonight on exhibit, and we're so thrilled to have you here with us. We're also happy to have with us Michael Lord and Sam Heaton from the Michael Lord Gallery and Lisa Austin from the Imago Galleries. And delighted to have artists Forrest Moses and David Einstein here with us tonight as well. So tonight's program is simple. We're going to have an evening with about a 30 to 35-minute conversation with Donna and Loren. And at the end of it, I suspect some or most of you will have some questions. So if you'll hold up your hand, I will come to you and get your question so I can repeat it so the whole crowd can hear it. Then after we're concluded, wine outside. What's better than that? Well, I keep it simple. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you the Vice Chair of the Western Art Council. And she's also the Chair of all of the Western Art Council programming. I call her the busiest woman on the council. She also, tonight's event, in fact, this entire new series, The Passionate Collector, is her brainchild. So join me in welcoming Jackie Lockington.
Thank you. Welcome, and we're going to start right now. I'm going to ask the same question to both of our collectors, and you'll get their responses. The first question, of course, Donna, we'll start with you. When did you start collecting, and what inspired you to make that first purchase?
That's a hard one. I guess I basically started collecting after I married my last husband. And because we... 25 years ago. 25 years ago. And we had been, for his company, we were buying art for about 15 years. So we had a sort of an idea of what was out in the art world. But he's very conservative, and I'm very not conservative. And so it was an education for both of us. And because when we were buying art for the company, it was not the quality of art that we wanted to collect, and whatever that was. So anyway, I think the first piece we bought was, well, first of all, because we traveled for so many years around the country buying mostly duck art, if you have to know, it's in Minnesota, and they like wildlife art, and not the kind that I like, but they like the ducks. And so, or they even that my husband likes, for a matter of fact. But nevertheless, we had seen a piece of art that was, we both, unbeknownst to each other, liked it. It was a Jim Dine Venus. And so we went to Pace Gallery, and there it was, waiting for us. So what we were to do but buy it. So that was our first piece. And then our second piece was also a piece of sculpture, and that's Gwen Murrell's hawk. But we call it Tweety. It's a little bird. And it sits outside of our bedroom where we are. And I think I'll probably have my ashes over it because I love Tweety. I see him every morning and every night. And I just love Tweety. And then, it just went on from there.
Okay. So you really started because of the corporate art you were buying.
Mm-hmm.
So then you and your husband went to the personal art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dr. Lipson, what about you?
Well, I started collecting when I was 3 years old. I'm a collector, I admit it. And I collected stamps, I've collected butterflies, I've collected beetles, I've collected everything except buffalo chips. And
You still can.
I know. I've been offered a buffalo ranch in Colorado. Yes, that's true. But I started collecting art when I was, after medical school, I was at the National Institutes of Health in Washington and had an opportunity to have some freer time and was able to buy really art from artists in the community and developed areas of interest which have ranged from natural history type things like Audubon's, both the quadrupeds and the birds, and went into such things as Daumier, his cartoons, if you will, from the actual newspapers of the time. So they're quite interesting. And eventually started collecting art from Native American peoples or Indian peoples, and have been selectively collecting art from Native Americans for really the last 10, 15 years.
So you discovered that you were a collector. That's my next question.
Yes.
When did you discover you were a collector, and when did you become a passionate collector? And what is the difference in your estimation?
Well, I became a collector, as I said, in general when I was 3, I think I was, and was passionate about it ever since, really. It's a disease.
It is a disease, but it's a nice one.
Okay, when did you discover you were a collector?
I'm not a collector. I'm an accumulator. If you collect something, you're in a category that I don't want to be in. Then you have a responsibility, and I don't want any responsibilities. I've got enough of them, and so we decided a long time ago that we would not be in the collector group. We'd be in the accumulator, and so we get kind of back and forth. But
So you're the passionate accumulator. is what
yes, yes, and I am passionate, but I just can't stop buying. But I don't, right now I'm not, well, I give things to the museum, first of all. But for my own self, I'm just buying little things, and the house is getting so full again, it's disgusting. But I just can't stand it. I just can't help it. It's not my fault.
Okay, has collecting affected your family life and your priorities?
Never.
Well, I'm wired up, so okay. Not really. I mean, I've just always collected, and despite everything, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your vacations, everything just revolves around...
Well, at this point, yeah. No, it revolves around collecting.
That is the part.
Yeah.
You travel to collect.
I traveled, really, right.
Okay, next question. Donna, who assists you in making decisions about what art you buy?
No one. No one. We have never had a consultant or anybody like that. We just, because we want to find things on our own. And I think there's another question you're going to ask me, and how I decide what I really want, even though I can't have everything I want, and nobody should have everything they want. It'd be nice, but we can't. And so my heart speaks to me. And it goes pitter-patter. And then I look at Mac and, okay, well, let's talk about it.
Okay. Loren?
I have more recently gotten insights and education from gallery owners who are involved in Native American paintings and sculptures as well as pottery. And so I've taken advice, but I ultimately am the one who makes the decisions. And
Okay, I was going to ask each of you if you have a favorite painting or sculpture. Donna said Tweety is hers.
Well,
That-
I've got another one, too.
okay, and she has another one too. Okay, would you share that and why?
Well, my Louise Bourgeois spider. I never ever thought I'd have one. The first one I wanted was the one that is the large one that was at Tate and that type of thing, and I wanted to put it over our piano. And my husband said no. That he did say that, but he's a very gentle man. He never said, he'd say no, like that, And so then we were in Brussels, traveling around Brussels with a Guggenheim group that we belonged to, and I always go into the galleries right away and look at what the galleries, the artists are showing. I have a dry throat, so excuse me. And so I saw Louise Bourgeois' name there, and and the rest of them were coming in. I'm always, when we go traveling any place, I'm always the first one into wherever it is because I want to make sure that I get something that I want, and if I can. So anyway, to make a long story short, I saw Louise Bourgeois' name there. Now I'm traveling with big collectors, not accumulators. They're big collectors.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, and I travel with big collectors, and we're just little accumulators. So I knew that. I said his name is Xavier Hefkin, and I just bought a piece of art for the museum from him at Miami. So, but it's a L.A. artist, but he shows this person, of which I can't remember the name, and so because I did it so fast. So anyway, I said, "Oh, may I see your spider?" And so he's right around the corner, and he had just opened up this gallery about 2 weeks before. And he had a very, very nice selection of things. And so I said, sold. I didn't even want to see it. I said, sold. I didn't even care about the price. I was there. Something told me I needed it and had to have it and could get it, and we did. So all these people came in, and they were looking around. They said, oh, look at that spider. And Xavier had to say it's sold. They never knew who it was because they would have killed me. I said, don't ever tell anybody. But that was my most favorite. And I named him Xavier.
Xavier the spider. That's good.
Everything has hearts.
Do you have a favorite? Of all your things, do you have a favorite?
Not really.
Nothing real sentimental, the first thing, or when you were a kid?
No. I have my
great.
insects, but I mean, that's when I was a kid, so I'm not really sentimental about dead beetles. So.
Okay. Well, Donna, you've explained what motivates you and kind of guides you. You guide yourself, and you get that little feeling here when there's something that you want. What about you, Loren? What influences your reaction to this art?
Well, there's an emotional reaction, but I actually am focused on why I'm getting things. For instance, looking at pottery, for instance, from different pueblos. So I'm specifically looking for the pottery from certain people and trying to help younger people who are into the area develop. And the only way you can do that is to buy their work. So.
Next question. Loren, do you believe collectors are hoarders, curators, or unbalanced personalities?
Well, from myself, all three. My parents were collectors and probably semi-hoarders, and I ended up with almost all their possessions in my house in addition to all my crap. And so one has to balance oneself very gingerly going through my garage and things like that. But I know where, as far as the art, where each piece came from and the history for it and stuff. And so it's really a fun thing. Unbalanced, many of us are. So.
Unbalanced, okay. You want to comment on that, Donna?
Yeah. No, I think we're all of those things because that's what makes us what we are. It's, no matter what you're collecting or interested in, it's just about, enjoying what you're doing and things like that. So I could add about 4 more things to that, but I won't.
Oh, go ahead.
No. It'd be nice. Then you'd know more about me.
Okay, you're both very, very busy people. How do you keep abreast of the items coming up to auction?
Catalogs.
Catalogs?
I don't.
You don't. You don't buy at auctions?
Very rarely, and usually it's people who know what I'm looking for will tell me. I'm usually running around doing other things. So.
So you have a stack of catalogs constantly coming into your house?
I do, and the museum has most of them. Then I give them to them. I don't want to have them around the house because there's so many things I couldn't get that I wanted. Out of sight, out of mind,
Okay, please explain the process of buying something for our museum. How does that work? What happens? Does Dr. Nash call you and say, hey, there's this thing in Miami?
Yeah, he'd like to.
Okay. Do you call him and say, hey, I want to buy this? Do you want it?
No,
How does it work?
I try and take him along
Oh, take him along.
to
That's
save the
good.
process. And also, as Mr. Dr. Cornell, and we were just in Miami. There he is. Hi. And so, and they don't always are along, that type of thing, but let's see now, how can I say that? What was the question again?
How does it work?
Oh, I know it is.
Museum. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I try not to buy anything without their consent. And we sort of have a little idea of some things that might be in a show or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or if I really like it, I'll call them and they're not around, and I'll suggest this to them. And they almost always say yes, but now I've learned that it's the way they say yes.
Oh.
And that's why I like to see people face to face, because it tells you so many things. And because I want to have everything right for the museum. And of course, I don't have the money to put into the things we'd really like to get. But I think we've gotten a nice selection of things so far.
Thanks.
And so it's just a little, it's different every time. But I never buy anything without consulting them. That's really important. I've got a few little things running around that isn't important, but they're fun.
Okay, Dr. Lipson, when you buy things to round out our collection, we're like the wonderful Naminga in the garden outside now. How did that happen? Tell us about that process.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, there are three different things. Number one is they're items of art I've had. So I will tell Christine, who's our curator, and basically, this is what I have, would you be interested? And then she'll come out, or Danielle, and she came out recently to look at a piece by Ann Hauser. So that's one thing. If I'm actually buying something, I usually talk to Christine about what it is I'm going to buy. I mean, I show the exact piece, but so I get some idea of are they interested or not. And basically, there are situations where there's really not interest, and so it's not offered to the museum.
Do either of you have any regrets about the great one that got away?
Many. For $5,000, I could have had the best collection of about 200 pieces. But, you know, you have your limitations sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Was it away from you? Did you not want it at the time? What was the reason you didn't get it?
we just didn't want to spend that much money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd say a very conservative husband. Not really, but sort of. And if we would have bid one more time, we could have gotten it. Mm-hmm. You know. So I got lots of stories like that.
Loren, how about you?
Got
away?
There are always things that get away because at the time you just don't have the funds to commit. But I found if you're patient and survive long enough, it always comes around again. So the important thing is to have longevity. Yeah, right.
Okay, generally, what words of wisdom would you share with the people in this room? Most of them are probably collectors. What's your insight into all this?
Learn a lot about it if you want to. And but if you usually I find with myself, I'm not an educated art person at all. I did take one. I audited one class years and years and years ago in art, and I've unconsciously loved art all my life. I just started studying my process of art, and it's almost like I was destined to buy art someday. I didn't know when, but it's come true. And so I think you have to just look. It's exposure, exposure, exposure. I guess that's the bottom line. Just look at everything. If you're a musician, dancer, art, anything that you love to do, you just have to go out and look at it all the time, wherever it is. You have to look at it and just learn about it.
Okay. Loren?
As far as learning about art, I was fortunate. I spent 2 years in Washington, and so every weekend I was at the mall, at the Smithsonian, at the Corcoran Gallery, at the Phillips Gallery. And that's how I exercised, was going from one gallery to the other for 2 years. And at the National Gallery, if they moved a picture, I was incensed because they hadn't asked me. And I'm still a resident associate of the Smithsonian. So, but the key thing I think in getting art is your own feelings, your gut feelings, your passion. if something moves you, whether other people think it's good art or not, it's really irrelevant. I mean, if you're collecting, if you're investing, it's a different issue. But if you're collecting, it's really, boy, I need this. I have to have this. That's the sort of thing that is what, yeah.
I have an example of that. It just happened to me. I spent a lot of time in India, and I love Indian art. And when I was over there the last time, which was 4 or 5 years ago now, I became acquainted with Sudha Gupta, and he's probably the best-known artist of what he does in Mumbai. And so I was aware of his golden door that he has. He has made 3 of them. And it's just a golden door, and all you girls have probably been to the golden door. I've never been to the golden door. But now I can go every morning and turn my knob and go to the golden door. And so anyway, I called the gallery in New York that showed him. And they said, well, there's only 3 of them, and they're all in private residences, homes and things like that. And so I gave that up. Well, then I kept thinking about it all the time because I just really wanted that door. And what happens? It came up for sale at Phillips this last fall. I think it's spring, yeah. And so now I have my golden door. And there's only one other person that bid on it. That's what was so interesting. So I thought, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I liked it, and I wanted it, and that's all I cared about. And thank you.
Okay. Okay, last question from me. So be thinking if you have additional questions. How do your families relate to all this? Do they share your obsession or your addiction? What do the kids say and the family say?
Not much.
They're used to it.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, they like it, but that's another thing that we try always. We had 24 grandchildren out of 6 children, and so. And when they're real little, they're all big now, but when they were all real little, they come to our house a lot. And for instance, we had it's in the museum now, the John DeAndrea nude. And so every time it was over a tub, a legendary tub in our house here. We had one in Minneapolis and one here. And that one went to the Minneapolis Institute, and this one came here. And we'd always have to put a towel over it. And we would always try to buy things that weren't offensive to anybody. Very important for our collection, not to have anything offensive, because it just isn't worth it, And so the family, they love our art, and they've gotten a few pieces, but we don't have any that are real collectors.
You don't?
No. And so that was one thing that prompted. Well, first of all, when we first started buying art, we said we would never sell anything, and but we didn't say where it would go. We just said we wouldn't sell it. Maybe the children would want it or something like that. But they didn't really have a real vested interest in it. They like art, but they don't that much. So that's when my husband was getting ill. So this was a great time because it was him that we have it. And so I talked to him and Dr. Nash and said we'd like to give some pieces to the museum. So he took how many?
He said, give me everything? Okay.
Well, I have 2 of my sons live in China. I'm trying to get the 3rd one out of the country. So they don't know about my addiction as much as probably if they lived in the country. But they're really not interested at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm finished with questions to some of you in the audience. Len has one.
Loren, this is for you. We both collect Namengha. And the Mingha for everybody here is going to be honored March 2nd at the Western Art Council shindig at your museum. How long have you been collecting Namengha, and what drew you to Namengha?
I've been collecting works by Dan Namengha for probably about 10 years. And he was just very spiritual in many of his works. And the other thing that I liked is his talent and the fact that he comes from actually 6 or more generations of artists, including the well-known potter born in 1860, Nampeo. And it was just also the fact that if you look at his works, it looks like 4 or 5 different artists, depending on what he's into. And so it was just a fascination with his abilities as well as the spectrum he went through.
Yes.
Donna, would you tell everyone about your relationship with Dale Chihuly and your collection of glass art when you built your house?
Well, that's kind of a sad one because Lisa's sitting right in front, and we should have gone through her. We didn't know the process of how you buy art, actually. We just thought, if you knew it, because I know people that are big collectors, and they never go to a gallery. And I think they have to now, but years ago you didn't have to, I guess. So anyway, we were building our house, and well, first of all, it's a funny question because we moved into a condominium at the Vintage Club first, and when we were in LA buying some art, we couldn't get into the blue building or something, so we had to sit out in the park in this street. And right there was a glass gallery. And yeah, what is it?
Berlin Summer.
Yeah.
I used to work there.
Did you really? Maybe you sold us those pieces. So anyway, we went in, we bought 2 Chihuly clusters, which are still my most favorite thing in our house, if you can believe it. They're very fine and they're beautiful. And we had 2 glass top tables, and so they were that was our flowers. And so we didn't know who it was. It said Dale Chihuly, but then we had people coming here. We were doing parties and one thing. Oh, you have that Seattle artist. And I said, yeah, I guess so. What's his name? I said, I have no idea. I'll have to go back and get my sales slip and let you know. First of all, I couldn't say his name properly anyway. And so, but they could. So I learned how to say it through him. And then, so they were really just treasures. So then we were building this house, and it has a fireplace. It's a large wall, and it's got a stone on it. And we were in L.A. He had a little studio in L.A. Remember? And we went to, when we were there again, we went in and saw all his art, and we just loved it. And so then we found out more about him, and we talked about what we have on that wall, because if you have a painting, it's going to fall right over. And it's very tall and large. And so I called the museum because I knew they knew about Dale. I didn't know Lisa and David at that time, but I may have known them, but I didn't know them well. And so they gave me his telephone number, so I called him and said that, because I knew he came down here a lot. And so, make a long story short, I suggested that he come down and see our wall, that we might have him commission a piece. And so he took his time coming down, because it's just another door, another house, and all that kind of stuff. Well, this one is a little bit different. And so, in our terms anyway. And so, anyway, he came in, and he said, ooh, that's pretty good. Because it was just, there wasn't even any stone up or anything. It was just all bare metal and that type of thing. And so he said, well, he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go back to Seattle and do a markup wall with the way I think you should look. Oh, by the way, it's got a curve. It goes straight, and here's a curve. And that's where I wanted to have my Jim Dine Venus. And I told him that. And he said, we'll think about that. And so that's exactly what he said. We'll think about that. But we almost made that wall for that piece, actually, at a curve. And so about a month later, we went up to, he called us and said, could you come up and see what we've suggested? And so we did, and we were just blown away. It was just amazing. I mean, it was just, man, it just blew us away. So that's how we got
a picture of that.
Yeah, and so then, well, he would come down a lot, but finally, we got so well acquainted that he would come and stay at our house a little bit, and then he bought his own house, and so we've just had this wonderful association with him for a long time. Yeah.
What about the dining room, Donna? Whose idea was to put thousands of Chihulys in the river running through?
Oh, there's not 1,000. There's half 1,000. No. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So anyway, that's another fun one, because our architect was Guy Dreyer, and he loves water treatments in and out of the house and that type of thing. And so he made a trough in our dining room, and I had 2 Jennifer Bartletts that we had purchased, but they weren't up either. And she's a koi fish person, and so we decided that we'd have koi fish in there. And Dale came by and he said, "What are you going to put in there?" And I said, "Koi fish." And he said, "Koi fish? Why would you do that when you can have my sea forms?" And I said, "What are sea forms?" I didn't know anything. I mean, you know, I'm a dumb blonde, but that's about far as it goes. And so anyway, so then this is what's really great about that story, is I said, "Well, those will break," and you know, because they were very fine. And so he said, "I'll replace every one that breaks."
That's a deal.
And he still does. Amazing. When he says something, he means it. And a lot of them have broken, but now he makes them thicker. And so they don't break quite so easily, so I guess I won't be getting any more. But he's a wonderful man, just very generous. And we did a show for him in Minneapolis several years ago. And but he's a very generous person. Nice.
One more question?
No questions?
No questions? Yes, there's one. Yes.
As a lifetime collector myself of many things, I've been told by numerous people, dealers, curators, other collectors, that I should be keeping really good records of whatever I'm collecting, whether it's a small object or whatever. So I'm curious to know if you two are keeping good records.
Do you inventory? Is that what she's?
Ask Nash.
Ask Dr. Nash. Yeah.
We keep when you're going through the house, we had a lot of information about what we have, don't you think?
Oh yeah, when Donna's collection and promised gifts came to the museum, we also inherited several shopping bags worth of old records and handwritten letters, some things that were unidentifiable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you that as much as an accumulator she is of wonderful art, she's also a very good accumulator of records. And that comes in extremely handy. We do research.
Yeah. An example of that is we also had many pieces of Asian art, and we loved Asian art because we traveled over to Asia a lot, and we'd pick up pieces in Hong Kong and that type of thing every time. And that was only in Minneapolis. We didn't have any Asian art out here. We had Asmat art out here. We had a lot of it, about 200 pieces, wouldn't you say, Harry? My granddaughter's over there, and she records everything now. And we gave those to a college in Minneapolis. But that's really one of my favorite art, is Asmat art. I miss those pieces so bad. It's just terrible, and I'm sure they miss me. But because I used to talk to them. I used to go over and talk. Well, they're spirited, you know, and there's all kinds of spirit things about them. But anyway, going on to that, so I kept really good records of those. I don't know why, just unconsciously. As I said, I didn't really know a lot about anything, but it was one thing I did right.
Lauren, what about you?
Yeah.
What about Western art? This is Western Art Council. How do you feel about Western
Oh, it's going to put you on the spot here.
I don't have many feelings for some things. I like cowboys and Indians, but
Oh, but it's landscapes, plein air.
no, you know, I was never a West person. I was never in California until
Minneapolis.
I was old.
I'm from New York. I was never a Western.
Yeah, but you've got a sixth sense. Well, I don't know. No, there's something for everybody.
Sure.
I really like junk art, if you really want to know. I like art that's made out of the most unusual things.
Assemblies.
The creativity of that type of mind blows me away. And we're going beyond our time probably.
No,
but,
it's okay.
the last piece of, it is really junk art I bought was from our museum. They have a George show every year.
Oh, yeah.
And I went down, it's always priced, and I bought a piece every year that we've had one. So that's what happens in my house, all these little things sitting all over the house. And so I walked in, and it had been up for about 2 or 3 weeks, and several things were sold, but I walked in, and this piece spoke to me. And it's what's the name of it? Well, it's styrofoam, but she actually is with our education department. She's a teacher here, and she goes out in the desert and collects found things from the desert. can you hold this? And she has, it's an image about 5 feet tall, and it's all styrofoam pieces. From a distance, it looks like marble. And it's all, I just love that piece because I've got it's in front of a Boaz body that we have, and so the resemblance there is how it's placed in the house. It just happened. And, but it's all styrofoam, and it's in pieces. It's like layers. And in the middle is a little image, like where your belly button is. I don't know what that's all about, but I'm going to find out. And because that's just not the way it's supposed to be. But nevertheless, the head is, I can't remember what the head is now. But anyway, I stand there and watch that piece. I just love it.
Okay.
And it's just, I think it cost me.
Passion.
Yeah, passion.
Passion comes through. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Donna and Loren, your generosity to the museum is unprecedented. You share much of your collection with the public and for generations to come. You are our true stars, and this is a token of our appreciation. Yes, another thing to say. Now, wait a minute now.
If I can.
No, that's for Donna.
Oh.
Yeah, here, this one's for you. So you are our true stars, and we thank you so much, and we applaud you. And
It's got peanut butter in it.
no, and thank you all for coming.